I think they had suggested that I read a book by D. James Kennedy, and I think accused me of just seeking attention because it says some people will do anything to get attention. I don't know what that's all about. But then they come up with, can you prove there's no God? Nope. That's also completely irrelevant. The burden of proof is on the claimant. You have to demonstrate, if you believe that the default position is to believe that God exists, the God of the Bible exists, until he's proven wrong, then you've already lost. You've already given up. Because how do you offer that sort of special consideration to the God of the Bible and not offer it to other claims about God?
Why not believe in leprechauns?
You can't have a consistent worldview. You're engaging in special pleading. You're making an exception for this one particular God. And my position is the default position is disbelief until there's enough evidence and sound argument to make the claim justifiable, to convince you that this is actually true and not just a nice belief that feels comfortable. So, no, I can't prove that there's no God, and I don't have the burden of proof. So you actually need to demonstrate that there is a God. That's the way it works. The next one was, the Bible is a book of facts.
Wrong.
I guess in the very loose sense that a fact can be either true or false, yeah, it is. Sure, I'll go with that. Mainly, it's a book of the religious opinions of a number of people collected over thousands of years. And it's wrong in a lot of places. It's self-contradictory in other places. It contradicts science in even other places. And even if it was non-contradictory and fairly simple and straightforward, you still haven't demonstrated that it's true. Much in the same way that you, by the argument of your, about the Bible being a book of facts, well, what about the Vedas? What about the Quran? This is, and I don't mean to be insulting the person who wrote this, because I understand that you sincerely believe all this and you think that these are really sound arguments. This is kindergarten theology. This is as simple as it gets, the simplest possible mistakes. And what it demonstrates is that I probably don't need to go read that book by D. James Kennedy, because I've already considered these issues at a different level, at several different levels. Do you believe a man walked on the moon? Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. Do you believe it, Don?
Yes.
Their follow-up question was, were you there?
No, I wasn't there.
Well, do you believe that
Somebody was there.
Do you believe that Jesus raised from the dead? Were you there? That's one possible counter to that. The big thing is that the claim is one for which we have evidence. Okay, sure, they could have faked video footage and everything else, but also I'm not staking my worldview on whether or not somebody walked on the moon. It's a very different situation, and there's vastly more evidence for the moon landing than there is for Jesus. I had a Catholic write me this past week who stated as a simple matter of fact, the existence of Jesus Christ is a historically proven fact. No, I'm sorry, it's not. There is not a single contemporary account of Jesus' life outside of the Bible. Not one. Not a single one.
And the only first-person eyewitness account of Jesus in the Bible is Paul's, where he saw him as a vision.
Yeah, and that's not
vision, right? So this is like flim-flam.
His first-person account wasn't of the Jesus that's talked about elsewhere. It was of this, spirit being thing,
right.
Epileptic hallucination,
all the others
or whatever.
Are just stories, right?
So
we don't even know who wrote them.
Their next thing is, I know Christ is real. I've seen Christ. Now tell me I'm lying. No, I won't tell you you're lying. What I'll say is that I don't believe you. I think you're mistaken. And if that's offensive to you, I'm sorry. We are talking about core beliefs, so I realize that some people take these things very personally. It's if when I compare belief in God to belief in leprechauns, some people get their knickers in a twist. I'm sorry that happens, but it's just the simple fact. You can claim that you know Christ is real and that you've seen him, and that may make it true for you. Likewise, there are plenty of people who have religious visions and religious experiences for other religions. Are you saying they're lying? Are you saying, I think that you, I would hope, would be reasonable enough to say, no, they're just mistaken or confused or misled or don't have a proper understanding of human experience and the commonality of these various types of feelings and things that people often write off as spiritual. So no, I don't think you're lying. I don't think we need to, I don't think the choices are either I'm telling you the truth or I'm lying. The thing is, you've made a claim. I don't happen to believe it. The claim alone can't be evidence for itself, and so I must think that you're mistaken. You could be lying. I don't know. I have no way of knowing that. The next claim was, I'll bet you don't know where East meets West. Do you know where East meets West, Don?
No, I don't.
I don't either. You're correct. We don't know where East meets West.
Probably where you are, right? Because you're east is one way and west is the other, no matter where you are. It's like you are here.
Woot.
That would be my guess.
I'm pretty sure East meets West at every point around it. But
Yeah.
I'll bet you don't know which way is up. Now, I apologize.
Away from the center of the earth.
Well, yeah, which should be universal.
Yeah.
But the end of this, the last little note was, can you show me air? Yes, as a matter of fact, we can. We can demonstrate air in many ways. First of all, we can weigh air, and we have. We can also
blow up a balloon.
We can blow up a balloon. We can blow bubbles in our soda or in our water. We can
Feel the wind.
put something into the air that would allow you to see the movement of the air. Now, just because air itself is something that you cannot see, that it's beyond, perhaps it doesn't have a visible element and that you're seeing the effects of air, is irrelevant, because the effects of air is the only thing that matters. Now, likewise, can you show me God? No, you can't. You're nodding your head right now, and you're getting mad because you think I'm completely wrong. I'm sorry, you're mistaken. You can't. Everything that you pull out that you say, see, there God is. Look, there's this is part of creation, or this is too complex, or blah blah blah. That's not evidence of God. When we see the leaves blow and move, what we're really doing is saying that's an observation. There must be some explanation for the leaves blowing, and we're going to label that explanation air. And the same is true for blowing bubbles and blowing up balloons and all this other stuff. It's a label that we put into a model that describes reality. God is a useless label. It's ill-defined. It has no explanatory power. It doesn't fit into any model that actually describes the universe at all. It's a waste of time, a non-answer, and you definitely can't demonstrate it. And while I appreciate you taking the time to email me your objections and your criticisms, maybe instead of focusing on books by D. James Kennedy or whatever apologist you might read, perhaps you should step out of the box a little bit and actually read some views that challenge your preconceived notions. Take some time to study the nature of evidence and how you go about deciding whether or not something is real versus fantasy. In the Pascal's wager discussion,
we did a little of that.
We did some of that. Yeah. You're trying to determine, okay, is this a good bet or not? But one thing that we didn't really hit was whether or not good bet is a sufficient reason that's consistent with the type of God that they're actually proposing. Right off the bat, in Pascal's actual description, he asserts that God is incomprehensible. Well, if that's true, how can you make any claim or argument at all?
Heaven and hell, and
he immediately gets rid of the incomprehensible thing and makes assertions that are based on his own perceived comprehension.
Right.
Then it makes the assumption that Christianity is true. It's a circular argument. You have to begin with the premise that theology, as Pascal describes it, or as whoever uses the argument describes it, is true. And that's the only way that the argument even has the appearance of being cohesive and holding water.
That's not how it went when I was playing with my action figures growing up. Spider-Man always beat Jesus. And of course you guys know why. Jesus has no webbing.